not having the camera now. I'm used to looking in the camera and
Smiling.
yeah, and it's kind of I don't know. We'll make it work though. All right, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for tuning in to VTV the podcast. I'm your host, James. Today we have a very special guest in the building, Mr. Daryl Hollingsworth. How are you today, sir?
I'm very well.
Good, good. I want to take a minute to thank you for being a guest. We do have a following with the podcast, and we aim to bring on various citizens, political figures, business owners, just people throughout the community who can discuss all things Vicksburg. That's the goal for the podcast, just to give the viewers and the listeners tidbits of the city that they may not get on a regular basis, whether it be, new events, situations that are going on with the government, anything of that nature. So we appreciate you being here. If you will, for a minute, kind of give the listeners some insight into your connection with the city of Vicksburg.
Well, I grew up in the Mississippi Delta, around Cleveland, Mississippi. I moved to Vicksburg in 1984 went to work with Grand Gulf with Entergy and worked with them for 24 years.
Okay, 24 years. That's a nice tenure with Energy.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. What was your job title?
Well, I was a maintenance technician,
Mm-hmm.
Machinist, and a welder.
Okay, gotcha. So hands-on,
Oh yeah.
skilled with your hands, skilled with tools and whatnot and things of that nature.
Absolutely.
Okay. So did you study tradesmanship in school or something, or is it something you just picked up, or how did it go?
Entergy had an apprenticeship program whenever I hired on.
Okay.
It was a 4-year apprenticeship program, and you got to learn hands-on. You had mentors that were working with you and teaching you what they knew.
Okay. I think they still have that program or something similar to it.
I'm not sure anymore.
Yeah. If they don't, they should, because
Yes.
that could propel a lot of kids in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Everybody's not, scientists and doctors and things of that nature. So
I agree 100%.
yeah. So the world is a mixture of skilled hands, and then the people that kind of like just doing the brain work.
Right.
Yeah,
And I can't sit still, so,
yeah. Yeah.
I have to be doing something.
I understand
my
that.
mind is too active.
Yeah. Okay. So from working with Entergy, you then went into what?
Well, whenever I was working with Entergy, I bought a building. It was 1999, the old Western Auto building downtown, and I renovated it, and it kind of mushroomed from there. It became my passion. I just thought Vicksburg was too beautiful to let it go.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's something about the old wood, the old buildings, just the old bricks. It's just fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And that became your commercial property, or what type of property did you turn it into?
Oh, I turned it into 4 apartments and 2 commercial spaces. It's a mixed-use building, but.
Okay. And that was one of many properties?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've redone, now all of them I haven't owned, but I've redone 17 buildings on Washington Street
Okay.
in some form or fashion.
Okay. Gotcha. 17 and probably not done yet, right?
No,
Yeah.
I hope not.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you got into renovation, remodeling, construction, that type of thing.
Yeah, well, I grew up, my dad was a contractor. He was building low-income houses all over the Delta whenever I was 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell people that was the greatest gift in my life. In one day, I could see every aspect of construction. I could walk down the street and there would be, somebody laying a foundation, somebody standing up a wall,
Mm-hmm.
roofing on the next one. It was just they were all in different phases.
Okay. So you grew up in that industry and
Yes.
grew up around it
Mm-hmm.
for sure. If we could briefly kind of talk about the city from your aspect, from your perspective when you were growing up, what was the city of Vicksburg like?
Well, like I said, I moved here when I was 18. So, but in my early years here, I was just raising a family.
Okay.
I really didn't go downtown very much.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't bustling
No,
from your knowledge.
no,
So you didn't frequent downtown. Gotcha. You grew up here. You moved here at 18. So your childhood was spent somewhere else outside of the city.
that's right.
Okay. Somewhere in Mississippi?
Yeah, I grew up in the Delta, near Cleveland, Mississippi.
Near Cleveland. Right. Okay. Gotcha. So your time here was in your teens until your young adult, right?
That's right.
You jumped off into the construction business. Let me ask you this. Your first few experiences with renovations and things of that nature, was it easy going? Did you have any issues maybe with the projects or with the city of Vicksburg or anything of that nature? How was that, those first years for you?
Oh, they were very easy, and at the time, Victor Gray Lewis was at the inspection department, and he would actually work with you, help you solve if you had questions about, or if you didn't quite understand what he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
He would help you work through the problems. He would sit down and find a solution.
Would you say that you were a big catalyst in some of the development of the downtown area?
I don't think anybody else was touching it whenever I started.
Yeah.
It really wasn't anything going on.
Yeah. So it was really just old downtown Vicksburg.
Yeah, and it was really like when I built the first apartments, it took 6 months to get those 4 occupied.
Mm-hmm.
But there were years before the commercial spaces were occupied.
Mm. Okay.
There was not a demand for commercial space at all.
Yeah.
And now commercial is outpacing residential.
The residential.
I think.
I agree. Just being able to observe, in my capacity as videographer and photographer for the city and for VTV, when we go to some events, you hear the conversation about, okay, well, we got this new business coming, or the ideas and concepts of a new commercial entity in the city.
Yeah.
I hear that a lot within the last couple of years. Yeah. And then I ask if you were a catalyst because I think it's still room for growth in the downtown area.
It is.
Along the main corridor, Clay Street, Washington Street. I think there's still some buildings that could be brought up to standard and used for whatever, whether it's, residential, commercial, or all commercial. So I think that, you being a catalyst for that, I think you have your hands on the pulse of kind of moving some of those projects forward. Would you agree?
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I try to keep my hand on the pulse.
Yeah.
I've got too much invested not to.
I understand that. You during your time here in Vicksburg, outside of the construction, you also ran for mayor.
I did.
Okay. Can you give us some insight into what you what your thought was and what your plans were for the city.
Well, I just saw the city was struggling, and I felt like I had a handle on how to fix the infrastructure. I think that's my background, and I think that would, in order to build anything, you got to have a good foundation, and I guess that's what I saw was I needed to be there to put down a good foundation to make sure it was right.
Mm-hmm.
And but George has done a very good job. He's leading the way.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you were looking at it from infrastructure as the main portion.
It's what I wanted to fix.
Yeah.
It's
Gotcha.
it's what I wanted to contribute.
Mm-hmm. So your whole platform was based around just building up from foundation, like you said. You weren't successful, but I think you did raise a few eyebrows as to some things that may have been needed. Like you said, you saw it from a different perspective. Some growth could be in this avenue or on this street.
Yeah, I always felt like I was led to do that, and looking back, I've never regretted running and raising those points, because I think I did bring some attention to some stuff that was overlooked for so long.
Mm-hmm. Was any of that brought up to par in your head? In your, how do you feel about, like you said, some of the things that you brought up then, have they been addressed? Have there been improvements?
Some of it has. There's still one area that I would still focus on is we have a lot of houses that are over 50 years old, and they would qualify for tax credits as a residence.
Mm-hmm.
The law was changed a few years ago. Before that, residential wasn't allowed, but now it is. And we could still, there needs to be an educational part to for young people to understand what is available.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to other places, there's a younger population that are embracing those tax credits, and they are revitalizing areas with it.
Wow. That's good information. I think people need to know that. I don't think it's publicized enough, and maybe that's why people are not taking advantage of it.
That's right.
What would you lead someone to? Maybe a website or something? How would anybody get that information and kind of act on that?
I can pull that and get it to you, but Amber takes care of that for me. She would have to pull it.
Okay. Amber's the spouse?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. Shout out to Amber. How you doing? But yeah, I think that's good information. It's good to know. I know of a few people at least that would take that and run with it, and I agree. I ride around the city sometimes and I look and see opportunity that kind of looks dilapidated, or hey, that may be a historic property, so let's not even look at that as a possible residence or a property that we own. But I don't think people know if you do take advantage of some of these tax laws and credits, things can change. The appearance of our city can change.
Yes.
Yeah. If you don't mind, please share that information, whether it's a Google search or something of that nature. We'll get it out to the public. And
well, I do know it goes to the Department of Archives and History. That's where that is the focal point, and I work with a lady that does that.
Okay. I know they were in town a couple of months ago.
Yes.
They had I think it was a seminar or something, and they kind of discussed some of the historical properties that could be taken and utilized in the city. Not just in the city, but in the state of Mississippi. Yeah, I remember being a part of that. VTV was there as well, and we did maybe a short little video or something. But I do remember speaking with that group. So yeah, that's good to know. Good insight. I do want to briefly speak on a few more topics, but I think it's interesting that you put your name in the race for mayor. You know, I think it takes, number one, some courage to say, "Hey, let's try and seize this opportunity," and then everything that falls behind it. If you do gain an opportunity, you know what I mean.
Well, like I said, I fell in love with Vicksburg, and I fell in love with the old history and so that was where my heart was. My heart was with the city of Vicksburg. What could I do to make it better?
Yeah, and apparently it's still with the city because you're still here.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, some people get here, they get a taste of what we have to offer, and they leave rather quickly. So I'm glad that you're still here. I know that you're making an impact in the community. If you don't mind, your company, the name of your company is what?
Well, I have several. I mean, Hollingsworth.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Hollingsworth Inc.
My bad. No disrespect. You got a couple of them, okay?
So Hollingsworth Incorporated is my construction company. Then Live Work Play Vicksburg Realty is my real estate company.
Okay.
And then we have Backdoor Lofts, Hidden Charms, Clean Up Vicksburg was one. So
Okay. That's quite a few. So you,
I'm not. I'm sure I'm not naming all of them.
yeah, right. I assume that you would have mentioned the chopping block in there somewhere. I'm not sure what.
Yeah, chopping block.
Yeah.
We have a new one called Crickets, and what we want to do is put a bait shop down at City Front. And
Yeah. That should be profitable. We're right here on the river.
Well, a lot of people say it won't be profitable, but I think we need it. I think it's I think it's something that just goes. If you have a boat launch, why are we not selling bait? You know.
Yep. I see. Yeah, makes sense to me. I'm not everybody though.
Sandwiches, cold drinks.
Yep. We got to take advantage of this mighty Mississippi that we sit on. I mean, we're right there. So it's a lot of business that could be placed right there on the river, at the river front, down the street from it, something.
Yes.
Makes sense to me. Crickets.
Cricket.
I like the title. Yeah. That's going to be interesting. But, you know, with all of your ventures, I would say that you're successful because you got, you know, they're still moving and shaking. Which one do you have the most pride in out of what you just named, or any that you didn't name?
I guess the most pride would be every one of them is dear to me when I'm working on it. So
yeah.
It just feels good whenever you're finished. I'll just say when I feel prideful is when I step away from it and I walk down the street and I come back and there's people inside and there's lights on at night.
Yep.
That's when I feel like I'm satisfied.
I understand that. Yeah. And I think that's the, I guess you call it the entrepreneurial spirit inside of you.
Yeah.
You start something up and be able to step away from it and say, okay, well, yeah, that's up and running. I love it. Yeah. I like that. What have you implemented through your businesses that you think is the most impactful as far as pushing the growth of the city forward? It could be one thing. It could be a plethora of things. What would you say you've done that's the most impactful as far as progression within the city?
I think I brought a population to downtown Vicksburg. You know, whenever we started this, there was 25 people in the whole downtown. And now I think there's over 800. I think that's my impact.
Right. Okay. I would say that's moving us in the right direction.
Now, other folks have claimed, you know, they're responsible for it, but I feel like I was the only one here.
Yeah. So you say you got the title of that. I get it. I like that. And we need more of that, you know, from everybody in the community.
We do, and not just downtown. We need it all over the city. Every neighborhood, you know, every neighborhood has an identity, and if you could get the people that live in those neighborhoods to embrace what is their niche, what holds that neighborhood together. I think it would almost be a competition as to who had the best, and I think it would spark a growth.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Oh, it does. It does. Man, yeah, I agree. It would spark a healthy competition.
Yes.
But we needed to move forward. You know, people talk about, you know, the bad things about Vicksburg, what's needed, what we don't have. Let's do something about it.
We have a lot that other folks don't have.
I do. And I think, once again, you know, I thank you for being here, because I believe that you are a part of the movement forward in the growth of the city, you know, for the next several decades. It's proven, you know, you got a proven record. So, hey.
Well, thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's stay on that topic of community moving forward in our city, because we discuss all things Vicksburg. What would you say, in your opinion, of course, what's the state of our community as a whole?
I'm not. The state of our community is. I think we're all in a transition as to which way we're going to go.
Okay.
I think it's. I think everybody's. We're either fixing to grow, or we're going to continue shrinking. Now, I think the jury's still out on it. I think there's a feeling to me as they're trying to the community is trying to grasp which way.
Okay.
And I think the biggest thing is safety, and we have to make everybody feel like they're safe. And I'm not sure how to address that.
Yeah. We recently had the chief of police on the podcast. It was an opportunity for us to discuss safety of our community, things that, you know, the police department were responsible for doing, the protection of the city. I think they even have a big part in, you know, how we develop in the growth of the community. There was a question posed to the chief about cameras and, you know, some of the technology that they're using to provide safety. You mentioned everyone needs to feel safe. You being a business owner, property owner, several buildings and things of that nature in the downtown area, has the safety or lack of, has it affected any of your business or any of your properties or anything of that nature?
No, it hasn't. And I live down here, so I'm down here. And if I didn't feel safe, I wouldn't be here. But I feel absolutely safe. I guess I know everybody, and everybody knows me. So if I leave my car unlocked, somebody's going to call and tell me that, you know, if they discover it,
Mm-hmm.
they're
I
going
got
to
you.
make sure I'm aware of it.
So it's that type of community vibe where, you know, it's I look out for my neighbor, my brother or
Yes,
sister.
absolutely.
Yeah. There were some instances where, you know, the community was in an uproar about, you know, businesses and the people that, you know, patronized the business. There was a situation where, you know, there were crimes going on at businesses and businesses were shut down. I don't recall the ultimate outcome of all situations, but I know that there was one where a business was shut down for a while. Do you have people that, you know, utilize your business and they cause any situations or things of that nature? Because I think it speaks to the type of citizens that we have in our community.
Well, you know, I owned a business that was shut down at one time.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Okay, I didn't know.
The Watermark. Actually, it was a birthday party for a 16-year-old, and somebody shot some shots in the air.
Mm.
It actually happened in front of this building.
Okay. Wow.
But it sounded like they were coming from the Watermark, but it wasn't.
Wow.
It was up the street. So,
Okay.
So they shut me down for a few days, but they let me back open.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't have anything to do with my business.
Yeah. So it was similar to what Chief Jones was saying, you know, people will say, hey, this happened over there, but once they do investigations, as they're supposed to, the police department, their detectives and things of that nature, they will hash it out and make things right.
Yeah, actually the casings were found in front of this building.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't know that, though. I didn't.
Yeah.
I know that there was some news about, you know, some situations, but like I said, I don't have all the particulars and things of that nature. I think WJTV or somebody, Vicksburg Daily News, probably had more insight than I did. Yeah. Shout out to the Vicksburg Daily News. But yeah, I didn't know that. That's good information, and I'm glad your business was reopened.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we appreciate that insight too, because like I said, you know, in the start, your perspective is from different from mine, different from plenty of the viewers. So being able to kind of discuss, you know, the state of the community with you, that's a different outlook on where we are here in Vicksburg. In closing, you know, because I would love to talk to you for hours, man, and probably pick your brain on how to get into real estate and own 1,000 units, 17,000 doors. But what is your personal goal for change going forward in the community? I think, you know, you've kind of stated some of that already, but are there any personal goals that you have that you want to see come to fruition before we expire here on this planet?
Well, I've always hoped to find somebody that I could mentor, just to, and I've tried, but I guess our younger folks, it's hard to judge what they really want. You know, I've had kids come up to me, and I consider them kids. They're teenagers still, and they want to learn a trade. You know, and I would love to teach somebody that what I know, but it just never has worked out. There's not the discipline there.
Keyword discipline. Yeah, I agree with that. So you'd be willing to apprenticeship, I guess, would be
right.
Yeah. Okay. Let me mention this to you. And it's on air. It's record. If you want to go back and kind of revisit it, the Youth Development Center. I don't know if you're familiar with it. Have you been in contact with them?
No.
Okay. I think that their goal, and this is something that Ms. Brown or Tracy or Brown, she was on the podcast. And then Miss Penny Jones, Chief Jones, they mentioned that part of the goal with the development center is to attract youth who may need guidance. So maybe you could link up with, Miss Brown and Miss Susie Calvert and introduce that idea to them. Say, hey, I'll take a kid or two under an apprenticeship program or something. I think that'd be a really good thing if you'd be willing, and if the kids, of course, would show some discipline and be focused long enough to get those jewels and gain that knowledge from you.
To absorb it, yeah.
I think that'd be key. Yeah, that may be one way for you to get that started.
Okay, thank you.
Just an idea, just throwing it out there. And I think that's a part of what this podcast can bring to the table. We bring people on, these ideas float around, and then we discuss and move forward. I think that'd be a good opportunity for a young man or woman, Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are there any events that you have coming up at any of your establishments? Any goals or plans?
No. First and third Sunday of every month, we have the jazz brunch at Watermark.
Okay.
Second Thursday, we have a blues night at Watermark.
Okay.
And then Chopping Block is open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Okay. Gotcha. Now, I can't let you leave without discussing some blues, because you mentioned it just now, and it brought back something that I think may be important for our listeners. From my research and having a conversation with you prior to us, sitting down on VTV the podcast, you mentioned a connection with blues, and I think that you have maybe a plan in place to kind of contribute to the historical value that the city has with Mr. Willie Dixon. I think we discussed that one time before.
Yeah, I would like to. I think we should have a bronze statue of Willie Dixon, and we have been talking about that and working with that.
Mm-hmm.
Linda Fondren actually walked with me, and we decided if we did have one, we would put it right there on Crawford Street, down the hill.
Okay.
Is the location we would like to put it. Now,
yeah,
we have not. We have tried to find an artist, and we've located one to do the work, but we haven't discussed money and how we're going to pay for it.
Gotcha. Okay. Mr. Willie Dixon, I think people may need to know his story.
Yes.
So I think that being an important feature for the city of Vicksburg, as well as many other things that have been put into place here. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you look at all the music that was recorded by him and other, the Rolling Stones, whoever, he had a very good reputation, a very wide range of talent.
Mm-hmm. Do you know if he was born here or he was born in Vicksburg?
He was.
Gotcha. Yeah, I hadn't done enough research on him yet, though we bear the same last name. But yeah, that's good information. That's good to know. So, with that being said, Mr. Daryl Hollingsworth, we appreciate you taking an opportunity to speak with us here at the VTV podcast. Hopefully we can, sit with you one more time on another episode, another season, get some more knowledge from you, kind of revisit that apprenticeship. But yeah, we'd love to have you back if you're willing.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Yes, sir.
It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. So all listeners, all viewers, please log in, tune in to VTV the podcast. We can be found on Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, TikTok as well. Everybody have a great day. Hope to talk to you soon.